All right, we're here. We're live. Episode 3.
Episode 3, we made it. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah. So, what's been going on with you?
With me, I've been working. I've been rock climbing. Um, what have I been doing? Not a
Sick.
lot of schoolwork. It's like almost Thanksgiving, but I'm still at school, so like half my classes are happening. All that kind of stuff. But I've been rock climbing a lot, and it's been cool. And I went skateboarding
Yeah.
once again. Found my love for skill toys.
All right, so Skill Toys is like a skateboard, which is like you're not you're not really like accomplishing anything per se, but you are getting better at the skill of doing it. Is that the idea of a
Yes.
skill toy?
Yes, like hacky sacking, or I don't know. You could. I feel like in my head you could broaden that to be like any interest, but I
Or
guess
the
like
what do they
toy would
call it?
make it.
The tripwire, the guy wire, where you like walk across the line, slack line. That's what it is.
Slackline. Yeah, I've been doing that a little bit. Those are all like rock climbing, hacky sacking, and slacklining are all intertwined. I feel.
I mean, you're definitely building skills that are like transferable outside of those. Like it's hand-eye coordination, it's balance, it's your grip strength, all that stuff is like will help you in other endeavors too. So
Yeah, this is true. But it's also like kendama. Like I feel like I'm into a niche active skill toy genre, you know?
interesting.
But also, hacky sacking is basically not, I guess, coordination. Dang, you can say that about anything, though.
Yeah, they say that the best surgeons actually play video games regularly, and the actual act of playing video games makes them like a better surgeon. Like they've like done studies that show that.
Makes you precise.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Um, so nothing lives in a vacuum. It all helps other things, I guess you could argue.
True. This is true. What's
All the
going on
dumb
with
stuff we
you?
do.
What's up with your work?
Just working at the restaurant, working at my other job. I don't know if I told you, I'm becoming a salesperson at my remote job. So I'm like kind of getting a little promotion.
Oh, wow. What does that mean for your work?
Well, probably means I'll be working more, but it means like what I'm doing is changing. I'm like taking on new responsibilities, so I'm actually going to be reaching out more via emails and cold calls and like setting up meetings to try to sell our services.
Hmm. And graphic designing?
Yeah, and I'll probably be doing that too on the side. So,
Dang.
just out here hustling.
That's big time. I heard you have some news on 3 Eye Atlas.
Yeah, so what I said last week was actually incorrect, and it is coming from behind the sun currently, and it's actually like this window is going to be it's going to actually be visible from Earth, with its closest point to Earth being on December 19th. So I think I said last week that it was like had already passed us and like is moving on, but that's not true. It's actually still coming towards us as it comes from behind the sun. The other update is that NASA did a like very public release of what they know and what they have, and it was very anticlimactic, and they didn't say anything, and they pretty much just like said over and over that this is a comment, this is not an alien, pretty much breaking the hearts of all the conspiracy theorists like myself out there, but also not really putting out our flame, because we would all say, yeah, of course NASA would say that because they can't afford to say what the truth is, right? So we're not convinced.
I mean, that's fair to some extent. Um, I'd be interested in what the comet is made of, and also where it came from.
Yeah,
But
those are good questions. They did release a photograph, so they were supposed to be like sitting on like the best photos that anyone has, because they have like a telescope that's close to it right now apparently. And their photo just looked like a little fuzzy dot. It didn't look like anything, which leads to some speculation of like, is this actually the best photo you have, or did you blur it? Is this, like, could we see more than you're actually showing us, but you just chose to kind of blur it out, so that's like the censored version. Um, so this other thing happened is like there's this other guy. He's like an amateur astrophotographer.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, I don't think he's an amateur. I think he actually like works in the field, but he was doing this like in his free time. He found Three Eye Atlas, got a picture of it, and then he was like walking through, like on his YouTube video of like how he mess with the image a little bit to like basically he's using like a software that astrophotographers use. Like it's a normal software, and he's doing like filters and different things to like enhance the sharpness and detail, and mess with the contrast so that you can see it better. And he keeps adding all these layers, and it ends up looking like pretty like defined. I mean, you can't see like a spaceship, but you can see like the anti-tail that people are talking about coming out of it, which is like coming out of the front end of it, which is weird, which is one of the anomalies of it.
What is it?
Um,
What is that?
well, there's like a tail. So like normal comets have a tail, right? Like when it shoots across the sky or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this one has an anti-tail, which is it's like shooting out the front of it.
Because it's going so fast.
I mean, I don't think it's going like like I don't know. I think it's like moving at a normal pace that like other comets might move at, but I don't know why it's doing that. It's kind of weird, but that's one of the big things that they've noticed from the start is this anti-tail.
It's typically an
Um,
optical illusion created when Earth passes through the comet's orbital plane, allowing us to see the large dust particles the comet has left behind. What? Illuminated by the sun. What?
yeah.
It says likely to be caused by a unique ejection of debris from the object. That's so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Three
But
Eye Atlas.
to answer one of your questions earlier, nickel is what they keep picking up. It has like incredibly high amounts of nickel.
Huh. I don't know what that means at
So,
all.
well, yeah, it's just weird. It's still weird. The update, NASA's basically saying there's nothing to see here, but everyone is pretty much still on the hook, including myself, of like, no, this is still weird and
Yeah.
interesting, and we will see what happens.
Yeah, we just gotta sit and wait. Damn. What do you do to see it on the 19th?
That's a good question. I bet there'll be directions of like where to look, like what part of the sky to look in. Um, we should look into that and get prepared for the 19th so we can add some directions.
Oh, yeah. Well, Peter Thiel, you said had some news or did some research?
Yeah, so Peter Thiel, I've looked at some interviews with him. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that really think that he is evil if they don't just like flat out that he is like the Antichrist. So that is definitely a narrative out there. I think he's kind of sketchy. So I found a little bit more detail. So Palantir, we know we talked about it's like the Seeing Stone from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But I watched Lord of the Rings this past weekend as part of my homework, and I forgot about the role that the Palantir has is basically. So, are you familiar with the story of Lord of the Rings?
Not vaguely.
Okay, so Saruman is like an evil wizard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one who has the Palantir. So he has this like big. It's basically like a big crystal ball that he looks in and like sees the future, and he can like see different parts of Middle Earth, and he can like see, his enemy forces plotting against him. But also he can talk to through the Seeing Stone, through the Palantir. He can talk to Sauron, not to be confused with Saruman. Sauron is basically a demon. He's like a non-physical demonic entity that is controlling this evil wizard, and is also like, you know, making Middle Earth go to war with each other. He's like, basically Sauron is the evil like spirit behind the scenes who's like trying to take over Middle Earth, and he's using this white wizard, or yeah, this white wizard who's like the evil wizard as like his war leader. The white wizard creates an army of orcs that go and terrorize and like battle the world of men.
Huh.
And part of what happened is one of the hobbits, I think it was Pippin, um, found the Palantir after the evil white wizard died. He dropped the Palantir. Pippin found it, picked it up, and was like curious about it. And then Gandalf like took it from him, and he was like, you shouldn't. He was like, give that to me right now, quickly. And he was like curious about it. So, anyways, later on, his curiosity got the best of him. He stole the Palantir back from Gandalf while Gandalf was sleeping. He looks into the Palantir and he sees the evil eye, which is Sauron. It's like the energetic demon guy, right? Who's like controlling all the evil forces,
Yeah.
and he's like staring deep in his soul, and he gets like locked into it, and they have to like wake up Gandalf and get him to help, and he had to like banish the demon out of him and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's definitely an evil thing, or it's a very powerful tool. In Lord of the Rings, the Palantir is a powerful tool that allows evil forces to get a glimpse inside the physical world.
Yeah.
So that's creepy. Anyways, I looked into. I heard some other people talking about what Palantir has done in Gaza. So in the war in Gaza, they've implemented Palantir to basically decide who lives and dies. So they're using like drone warfare and things like that. And Palantir is like deciphering the people who are in bombing range and figuring out, who's women and children, who's men, who is possibly part of Hamas. And they're using that data and that intel to choose where they put their bombs. So Palantir is currently used for war currently.
Yeah.
So that's, that's its first like, that's its first deeds of the world that we know about. So that's not good. All these things are really not good, to be honest. So Thiel, in one of his interviews, made a quote from the Bible. He said, quote, "Christ said they hated me without cause," which is interesting. Okay, so one of the things about, I think like about Armageddon in general is muddying the waters. And it's like the whole idea of the Antichrist is that it will appear like Christ and it will confuse everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of the story, right?
Yeah.
So this whole thing that he's saying, Christ said they hated me without cause. It almost seems like he's like muddying the waters of, if you think about AI as the Antichrist, well, he's saying basically his whole position is like, we don't want people to be afraid of AI. AI is actually what's going to help us like bring a new era of abundance, right?
I mean,
So
yeah, I think he's doing abundance for himself at this point, though. Like the video I watched, it was like he was like a libertarian conservative who was like, the internet's gonna help us, have our freedom from the government as much as we can, and now he's like working with the government just because it benefits him.
yeah,
And
I
he's
mean
having like secret meetings about the Antichrist. It's crazy.
he did a 4-part lecture on the Antichrist. It's very weird, and so the idea that I just think that's interesting is that the idea that no one really like there's confusion and controversy about the idea that is AI our savior or is it going to be the death of us all? And I think that most people are like sort of in between there right now, and everyone's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what to think about this. Either way, it's going to be something big for our society. Well, I'm just making that like kind of parallel because that's what they say about the Antichrist too. It's like he says he's a savior, but really he's not. He's leading all the lambs to death or whatever. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I have some other notes here. So CIA's involvement in the creation of the internet, Google, and tons of giant tech companies in the public sector. Many of these CEOs came straight from the CIA, bringing CIA and national defense technology into the public sector. This is all well known. It's still common for CIA employees to transfer from Google, from transport to Google and to other tech jobs. I was researching that, and there was like it just showed like some woman who was in the CIA just got offered like an executive position at Google. So these things are definitely still going on. There's like, movement laterally from both of those agencies or from one agency to the private sector. 2007, the Washington Post reported that Google was selling the government new enhanced versions of Google Earth, the search engines that can be used internally by agencies. So this is Google Earth basically was a national defense technology, and then they basically just made it public too because they could like profit a lot from it. But
Yeah.
that's where Google Earth came from. Most of the stated reasons for the CIA to use these data analysis tools is to gather intel and make better use of the data. The Patriot Act following 9/11 gave the CIA and the U.S. government the authority to subpoena and pull personal data from any American citizen. A lot of people cite that as like a real turn for, like we don't actually have privacy anymore ever
Yeah, for
since then.
privacy.
Yeah,
This,
the
yeah,
government,
I don't
the
think
government
that.
and Google.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I don't think that the CIA has ever done like something like super good for America. I feel like it's mostly like secret shit that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, 100%. Um, very, yeah, exactly. I totally agree. Um, and that's a whole wormhole too, because the CIA, I mean, I think we can say with like, without any doubt that the CIA killed President Kennedy. Like, I think that got released, and that's something that everyone's pretty much, assumed was true, but we just never had the evidence. But that those documents did come out. So basically, ever since then, they've kind of just been doing shady shit below the cover, and no one exactly knows. Like Congress isn't aware of it, and they're working with like black budget funds, so they have like enormous amounts of money that they don't really have to say where it's going.
Yeah.
So all of that is like, I think, well known. um, yeah, let me go on here. The government and Google have more than a mutual interest in mining publicly available data. The feds asked Google to turn over information about its customers constantly. Last fall, the Justice Department demanded that the company give up the IP addresses of WikiLeaks supporters. During the first 6 months of 2011, the U.S. government agencies sent Google 5,950 criminal investigation requests for data on Google users and services, as our sister blog Threat Level noted at the time. That's an average of 31 a day, and Google said it complied with 93% of those requests. So basically, they have the power to subpoena and pull these, like pull a file on anyone, and they can just like create their own subpoenas. So I mean, they almost have like unchecked power on that, which is weird.
That is
Um,
weird. I have
a lot of people.
I got a
Go ahead.
VPN because I was scared of my security, but I don't think it's really gonna do anything at all because I'm
I mean,
logged
they
in on
say that it
everything.
helps.
Yeah, I guess it'll help for my IP address, which would give information about me, but I don't know. I feel like I have accounts on all these services and my life is like intertwined with the internet. I'm fucked.
Yeah, I think that's how we are. So, like, they can, yeah, they have it. If they need it, they can access it. And yeah, you can protect like some stuff, but it's almost like you can't protect it all. But a lot of people are saying Palantir is a precursor to the social credit score and a police state. And that's like the big thing that everyone is kind of like, that's sort of like where everyone says their end goal is to like, once they have a social credit score and they basically they turn it into a police state, then I mean it's kind of all over at that point, because then they can say like, you're you have ideas that we disagree with, and so they just like shut off your money and you
Yeah.
just disappear.
I think at
And
that
that's
point
what the social credit score.
you get a gun and you rise up. I
Yeah,
think.
well, that's, I mean, that's a very conservative talking point. That's why they want to take our guns, is so that we can't do that. And that's why a lot of like Southerners and like people who support gun laws, this is exactly why they want to keep the guns, is because it's not to protect you from like a robber, it's to protect you from the state, like to protect you from like the state getting too much power and trying to come and take your land, take your house, like
Yeah.
they want to be able to protect themselves from the state. That's always what the heart of like gun law issues. Um, but that's an interesting topic because school shootings happen and everyone's like, oh, we need to regulate guns. I heard someone say this the other day of like Australia had one school shooting 15 years ago. They outlawed assault rifles, haven't had one since. And that was his talking point of like, why do we have guns? But yeah, the reason you just brought up, I mean, we need guns to protect ourselves from the government.
Yeah, I mean, there are like weaker guns. I don't know what the solution is to that one. Better mental health services, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think our society is
And
sick in a
better
lot of ways, and
owners,
that's one of
like
them.
more more gun law, gun safety promotion ads and shit.
All right, I have a cherry on top of all this. This was my favorite part of the research I did. This was just like a dumb thing that I didn't even expect anything to come out of it. But what I did is I went to ChatGPT and I said, "Can any anagrams be made of quote unquote Peter Thiel?" I spelled out his name, right?
Mm.
Um, ChatGPT thought for 46 seconds. ChatGPT then said, "Nice one. I checked the combinations that use exactly the letters Peter Thiel, Peterthiel. Here are a bunch of valid anagrams. All letters use spaces allowed." The first one that popped up, the reptile.
I think I heard about this one. That's so funny.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he could be a damn reptile, dude.
I
Right.
mean, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, do I need to go any further?
I think you're right. Yeah, he could be a reptile, I guess. I don't see how that would benefit him though. Like, he seems like just an evil human.
It would benefit him. I mean, that's just who. Like, what do you mean? It would like if he changed into a reptile? The idea is that he is a reptile. I think if you ask people.
And then can he like climb on walls better?
No, I think it's just like a race of beings, and the idea is that the reptilian beings are just more vicious, and they don't have empathy, and they're cold-blooded, and everything that comes out of that. So they're more focused on domination rather than the community.
Are they aliens or did they
Yeah, I
emerge
mean,
from Earth?
that's if you subscribe to that belief, yeah, there's a lot of people who say the reptilians are aliens and they live among us and they're holding ranks of power. That's a theory.
Yeah. Damn. I like that as an archetype. I feel like
Yeah, I
it.
think it's good as an archetype too. It makes sense.
Yeah. It seems irresponsible on the part of his parents to name him an anagram of the reptile, though.
I
I guess they
mean,
birthed themselves.
yeah,
So,
that's what I was gonna say. His parents, he was probably just like created in a test tube by Elon Musk or something, and then he was just like born 30 years old, and they gave him a job at PayPal.
damn.
I don't know. That's all a joke. I don't know how it works. But yeah, that's my update on Peter Thiel.
He's a scary guy. I'm not a huge fan of the surveillance state.
No, that shit is whack.
I
Super
watched a
whack.
video today or yesterday about like the like your shadow self. I forgot. It might have been Jung, Carl Jung,
Yeah.
who was talking about it, but it's like the part of yourself you might not even be aware of, but like your deep uh
Yeah.
like reason for doing everything.
The unconscious aspects of personality that the conscious ego does not identify with, often because they are perceived as undesirable, shameful, or socially unacceptable.
I think that's interesting, and I don't know how to grasp with that as a
Well, it
as
kind
a
of plays
thing.
into what?
Go ahead.
it kind of plays into the free will thing because the opposite of free will is determinism, and I guess some people would say that you don't actually have free will. You're really just like you're just the what's the word? You're just a
The
compilation
vessel.
of well, you're a compilation of like all your choices that led you up to here, and meaning that like your subconscious is making all these decisions, and you're kind of just an NPC, and you're making decisions based on like childhood stress and trauma, or just a series of choices that you've already have made. So you might stick with things that are comfortable to you, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean that I would come to that conclusion because, being alive implies that you die. And so if you die, you know, you only have one life that you had and it already existed. So you already dying would exist in my mind too. So it's like on a broader scale you don't have free will, you know?
Because you are going to die, so you can't choose that. Is that your point?
Just like because after like the constant of you dying exists because you go through every moment how it goes. And like during your life you have free will, but to me the fact that time exists means it always has to exist. So like something there's like if you go to the fourth dimension, I guess, you would be able to see every moment. My idea of this has been kind of shaped by Slaughterhouse-Five, where the main guy goes to like he gets picked up by aliens and they're like fourth dimensional beings and they're like they perceive all time like a mountain range, and he asks them like, do you guys have war, do you have pain? And they're like, yes, all those things exist. And he's like astounded that they can't stop them, but they can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So that's interesting. Like that's kind of why I don't think you have free will, but also, I guess in our lives you can make choices.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you couldn't make a choice, I feel like maybe it's like creating your own script. It's kind of like if you're playing in a sandbox video game, you could do all the missions, or you could choose to just like make your own like plot. Like what I don't know exactly. I'm trying to fit it in with another idea like but yeah, I see what you're saying. So like determinism is basically people say that all time exists and it's not a linear like we experience it linearly, but it basically everything that will happen has already happened. We're just experiencing it like in like a time dimension, which means we're moving from beginning to end. But everything's already happened. So like all of our lives have already been lived. We're really just acting them out. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
What I believe to some extent, especially with the fact that like with like having a shadow self and shit like that. So I don't know.
Yeah. How does the shadow self play into it, I wonder?
Like just your subconscious, like, extraterrestrial reason for doing things. Um,
Extraterrestrial?
I would think so because it's like foreign. Because you're not like, I guess you can be more and more in tune with it, but you know, people do things and they don't know why.
True. Yeah, do you ever think back about your life? Like maybe because I'm old, I do this. Like you ever think back to like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and you just like wonder like why did I make the decisions I made? Like I wasn't like if if I was less conscious than I am now, just because I've learned things and experienced things, and like back then, I just like was making decisions at a much lower level, and so I kind of wonder like, how did I even do it? Like, like
Yeah,
it's just a weird thing of like you learn more every year, and you make new decisions. Like you make different decisions. I guess that's how it works.
yeah. I
But it's like you're an NPC. Like, do you think, first of all, there's a theory that like NPCs like actually exist, and there's people walking out there that just like essentially like don't have a soul. They're just like, they're just walking around like going through the motions.
yeah, there's this meme that's like me when I start like stop rendering when my girlfriend goes like across town or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's like or there's like I think it's a photo of an apple and it's just so poorly rendered.
Yeah.
That's that's what that reminds me of. And it's kind of impossible to disprove that, which is scary, but it's also interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of ties into simulation theory. Okay, so you know the guy Thomas Campbell that we would keep like quoting?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, his idea is that he compares everything to a video game, like virtual reality. Like he says our reality is a virtual reality. And so you have characters in a game, which is us, but they're controlled by something outside of the game, which is our consciousness, but they're still like limited to like physical rules, which is like basically the way our game was designed. So the fact that we have
Yes.
gravity and we like walk through doors and we can get into cars and drive, but we right now we're unable to like break the speed of light, and all these different things that are like kind of rules in our domain. It's basically
Yeah.
just like someone programmed a game, and these are our this is the physics that they programmed. The same way we designed Grand Theft Auto, and you have physics that you have to obey in that game.
Yep. I mean, yeah. I think that's very true. And I don't know if it's like there's a bit about this in like Rick and Morty. They go to the arcade and there's a game where you just literally live a different life. And
Yeah,
I
you just
mean,
like
you can't disprove that. And he comes out and he's like freaked the fuck out after playing the game.
right, but it only took like 5 minutes, but he lived an entire like 60-year life or 80-year life.
Yeah. And what's that guy's name? He's one of the Austin Sphere comic guys. He took salvia that one time and like lived for 3 months in a different universe. Ari Shafir.
Oh, that was like who I was gonna guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy.
I don't remember him talking about that specifically though. So he like was lived 3 months in a different realm. Like, what does that mean?
I mean, have you ever heard like like people who smoke salvia, their stories?
Yeah,
It's like you,
but it doesn't last long. It only lasts like 10 minutes.
yeah, and it was only like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to the people around him, but he
Oh,
was like in there, like living, like had a family, was like doing whatever he was doing in a different, like as a completely different person for 3 months.
yeah, that's nuts.
That is insane. But yeah, so like you play that game, then you get out, you're like, oh, I didn't have free will at all, you know?
Yeah. Okay. I think so. It's also like the Matrix, though. The Matrix basically says the same thing too. Like you're living in a Matrix and you don't know you're in a Matrix, but like everything is fake around you, right? Until you learn that you're in the Matrix, and then you can like control all the rules around you, which was sort of like the
Mm.
end. He like
Like that's
realized.
like reaching nirvana or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I looked up because I've heard someone talk about this too. Like I don't know if I've just like seen this on like Instagram posts, where you go to like the explore page,
Hmm.
where like enlightenment is when you're aware of the thoughts in your head and are no longer identifying with them. You realize that you are playing a character and you are actually the game, quote unquote, and not the character, or
Yeah.
like rather you're both.
Yes.
Um, but you're also like the person playing the character in the game. So now you have like this holy trinity of like Father, Son, Spirit.
Yeah.
Which brings me to an interesting topic of like I heard a Christian talk about simulation theory, and they were like, "Isn't this just like theology, but for nihilists? Like, isn't this like saying the same
Yeah, it
thing
totally
that
is.
the Christian faith and like pretty much all other faiths are saying too?"
I
Is
mean,
like,
yes, but it's also like I don't know, the like religion has like especially Christianity, it's like there's lore to it where you're like I don't know.
I mean,
It's
yeah, but the lore is basically the same thing we're talking about simulation theory. It's just written for like 3,000 years ago or whatever, you know?
yeah. I
Because they didn't have video games to refer to, but now we use video games as an example. But it's like they're kind of saying the same thing. Like Jesus Christ said, the kingdom of heaven is within a mustard seed. All right. Well, we would say that today is like all of the data from this entire game is represented inside one pixel, and there's like millions of bits, but it's all really the same line of code.
yeah. Yeah,
Boom.
I agree with that. But I think like it's it's still like the religions are they're not like straightforward. Like simulation theory and how we're talking about it is so much less like I don't know, rule based.
Yeah, I mean, I think that religions have been compromised.
Yeah,
I think they're speaking of a fundamental truth, but I think that they've been taken over by people in power to push like the narrative that they want them to push. And ultimately, what it was designed is like to keep the power in the church, so that if you wanted to have a spiritual experience, you couldn't take mushrooms with your buddies. You'd have to come into the church, pay your tithe, and then you could have a spiritual experience. And they would like put they would like smoke marijuana in the incense and like flail it around, and it would get everyone like kind of a contact high, and you'd have the mystical experience, and you're within this cathedral that was like the most beautiful building anyone has ever seen ever, and
yeah,
like still to this day. And so everything's like controlled within the church, when everyone kind of knows at this point, or I won't say everyone knows, but like everyone is like sort of curious today of like, I don't think we need the church. I think if we have psychedelics and we have like philosophy and we can like explore these different topics on our own, that like Jesus said like the kingdom of heaven is within all of us. It's not like within the church. It never has been.
yeah. I agree with that completely.
And the fact that there's like all the pedophiles in the Catholic Church, it's like that's kind of weird. Like, why are they giving positions of power to people who are compromised? It's again the same story that's happening in our government.
It's yeah, I think people who seek out power are not the type of people who could run the government in like a good and straightforward, wholehearted way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's set up in a way that they won't give you a spot unless you can be compromised. So they will compromise you and then give you that promotion.
Yeah, yeah. That I saw something about like true historical old frats are like I may have told you about this, but they're like all the hazing and bad shit that they have to go through is to um prepare them for like the professional like the high elite roles that they'll be able to fill.
Yeah, 100%. That's where we enter in the Skull and Bones conspiracy. Are you familiar with that one?
Nope.
This is a very high, what's the word you could say, like high echelon, is that the right word? This is
Yeah.
like a very big secret, it's a secret society, and it's a fraternity at Yale University, where a lot of our like world leaders throughout the past like few decades um were a part of. And what's interesting about this one is that it's especially dark. Like, they report that the Skull and Bones like they have like initiations, and they have hazing, kind of like what you're saying, but it's like robes and masks, and there's like blood ritual. Like, it's supposed to be like kind of on another level. um and they say that it's like one of the ways that they initiate people who will become like later in their life have a career of like immense power, because they're all like sort of sworn into this like secret society, and it all starts from Yale when they're college students.
Yeah. That's fucking
Like
insane.
George Bush, I think, was in Skull and Bones. There's like a lot of like famous politicians. I'm gonna pull up who all was in Skull and Bones.
Yeah, that's scary. Were you in a frat?
No, I was not. Skull and Bones Secret Society at Yale University, founded in 1832, known for its influential members. Notable individuals who have been part of the society include William Howard Taft, the 27th President of the United States, his father, Alphonso Taft, who co founded the society. Other prominent members include Prescott Bush, the father of President George H.W. Bush, and the grandfather of President George W. Bush, who was reportedly involved in grave robbing expedition that allegedly brought the skull of Apache chief Geronimo to the society's headquarters known as the Tomb. George H.W. Bush, class of 1948, and George W. Bush, class of 1968, are both members, with George W. Bush's nickname being Magog. Additionally, members include William F. Buckley Jr., class of 1950, Henry Luce, class of 1920, McGeorge Bundy, class of 1940. The society has also included figures such as Archibald MacLeish, a poet and Pulitzer Prize winner, Stephen A. Schwarzman, a billionaire financier. The society's initiation rituals are elaborate and include symbolic elements like a devil, Don Quixote, and a pope, with initiates being dubbed Knight of Eloga, Euloga maybe. The tomb, constructed starting in 1856, serves as the society's headquarters at 64 High Street in New Haven.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Our father was in a frat. He doesn't seem to have
Yeah.
gained immense power.
No, I think you might have been in the wrong one.
He also was like very against me being in a frat.
He was?
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
didn't know
think
that.
so. That's the vibe I got from him.
Why? What'd he say?
Just like, yeah, I was in a frat. It was fun, but you should never be in one. Which maybe it's just because he thinks I'm soy.
Maybe. I don't know. I always thought that I think he wanted me to do it. I just didn't do it.
Damn, 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 damn.
Maybe it's because after trying to convince me to do it and I just totally didn't do it, that he just figured he wasn't going to push you.
But he was like clearly going in the opposite direction, you know? But I don't know.
What?
It's just a big cover up. Like he was telling me not, like really telling me not to, from
That's
my
weird. I wouldn't have
perspective.
expected that.
Dude, another skill toy that I'm really fucking with that's like metaphorically a skill toy, I guess. It's a video game, Tetris.
Oh yeah. You like that?
I love Tetris. I play it
You
on
play on
a
your phone?
Roku in the living room of my house.
Damn.
It's a good way to do it. I like the controls of the Roku.
Yeah. The classic Roku remote.
Yeah. You only need 5 buttons.
I guess you love it when that long one comes out, right?
No, dude, no I don't.
Are you playing right now?
Yes.
Bro, focus. I can hear you tapping.
I mean, dude, I got nothing else to say. What do you got?
Well, I got a tangent I can circle back to.
Okay.
All right, so we talked about the CIA being like a rogue entity that is doing a lot of nefarious things, right?
I don't know about rogue entity. It's like our government.
Well, it doesn't have the government doesn't have oversight over the CIA. They have a lot of like departments that are unchecked because they've been made private. Like the Congress can't look into a lot of like what the CIA is actually doing. So
Okay,
they're
yeah.
kind of
I
working.
mean, Congress can't do anything though. You know, like that still is our government.
Yeah, but I mean that means it's rogue. If you ask me, that means they're operating without any oversight, so they're a rogue entity. They're doing whatever the hell they want, and they have a lot of funds to do it.
I think our government has to operate that way at this point because Congress cannot do anything. You know, like if we actually Congress would lock in if we had a national emergency, and that's really it.
I mean,
So I mean, them being a rogue entity isn't the problem, but they have been like done like horrible evils, I think.
I mean, I think that the only way they can do it is because they don't have oversight. Like, it's because we don't know what they're doing that they're able to do what they do. That's my only point.
I mean, yeah, they don't have oversight from people. The president doesn't even have oversight from people at this point, though. You know?
I mean, the CIA doesn't have oversight from the president, I don't think.
I Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel
I
like
mean, I
they
think that's true. I think that's just how they're organized. They have like the president can look into CIA and like check up on certain projects, certain offices, but they have like entire offices that just are underneath the veil of secrecy because of like national defense reasons, which is what they claim. Which it could be, but like the fact is that it's secret. And so once they have an office that's operating secretly and they have funds into that office, now they can pretty much do whatever they want unchecked because no one knows what they're doing. And that's a
Yeah,
fact. That's just how it works, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, they killed Kennedy, and who knows what else they've done. They've done probably all kinds of insane stuff.
Why did they kill
Um,
Kennedy?
there's a few reasons that people point to. One of them was had to do with like the Bay of Pigs, and he was so
He
there's like
blundered.
okay a couple of events that happened. He wasn't for overthrowing Fidel Castro, I don't believe, and he didn't sign off on it, but they went ahead and did it without him, and then he chose not to provide air support, and so that basically the whole operation like turned to shit because he didn't sign off on the air support, so everyone got destroyed in Cuba. And so that was one thing, but other people say that he literally like in his presidency, he was being very public about the fact that he wanted to overthrow the CIA. He wanted to like clean it out.
The
And
CIA?
people, yeah, and people point to that as like, okay, well then they killed him.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, the FBI has committed pretty big atrocities in terms of not acting in the people's interest. I don't I guess cleaning it out would help. I don't
I
think
mean, it's kind
that's
of too late at
happening.
this point.
Yeah, it is. We're
Do you know
fucked.
what's crazy? Is what's his name? Cash Patel is the head of the CIA, right?
Yeah.
He's been so sus. Have you been following the stories that he's been a part of?
No, dude.
He's okay. He basically look up a picture of him because he literally looks like a deer caught in headlights whenever he's at a press release, a
I mean,
press
yeah, he's
conference.
not I don't think he's like the top pick to be the CIA head at all.
Well, I mean, I think that's irrelevant. I think he probably had like big ambitions going in, but what it seems like from the outside is that someone just squashed him. Someone was like, "No, dude, we have your family, we have your kids, we know exactly where you are. Like, we will bring you down if you spill anything." And one of the he came on the Joe Rogan Experience and said he basically said like we have no reason to believe that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered. We have no absolute reason to believe that. I've looked through the case and I can't see, any evidence that he's been murdered. It looks like a suicide from everything that we have.
You think the CIA's like like front manning not putting out the Epstein files?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
I guess so.
We're gonna go another page deeper. First of all, that claim in and of itself is nuts. If you've seen anything about the Epstein files, and that's why like everyone is like going crazy about it, is like it's clearly was not a suicide.
Yeah.
And we can get into those details, but like that's what I personally believe because of what I've heard and like seen about it and like the little breadcrumbs that they've given us. But for him to say no, there's no reason why we would ever believe it's a suicide, it was just crazy. Like that came off as so crazy. I feel like no one believes him and he lost a lot of credibility for that. But then if you just like if you look at his pictures, I'm looking at one right now of like he's in a press conference. He's literally like staring into the camera and he looks like he's seeing a ghost. Like you can see the whites of his eyes. Like the guy is like seriously like stressed. Okay, so Jeffrey Epstein or whatever, basically they were going to like take him down sooner, I think, but someone protected him because they said that he is a CIA asset. This was like early. This was before the controversy. This was like before he got taken down, before he got put into custody or whatever. I think that was on record. I think that's like a fact. That's not just me saying that. Like somebody like said in one of his reports, he is a CIA asset, so you can't touch him. Like basically, he's untouchable, right?
Damn.
There's also a lot of people talking about how he was also an asset of Mossad, which is Israel's intelligence agency.
Oh my God, yeah. Did you see that the Homeland Security Twitter was created in Israel?
Yes, I did see that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So I think the big conspiracy about all this stuff is, and this might sound crazy, and like people might say anti-Semitic or whatever, but I think Israel um, is controlling the U.S. government and the rest of the world.
I think to some extent they are controlling. They're getting a lot of money that they don't deserve from us. But
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
like
They're doing too much.
they are doing too much. And Palantir's involved with that too. Like it is
Yeah,
fucked up.
they are a new state, like that was formed in like what the 1950s after World War II, and like a lot of people like flocked there, and they have okay, if you're a pedophile in the United States, you can go to Israel and you'll be protected. Like they won't prosecute you as a pedophile in Israel.
Oh my
I'm
God, that's such
I'm
a
gonna look that up, but like that's what I've heard, and I think that's nuts. But yeah, why is all this shit connected? So like Epstein is a known CIA and Mossad agent, an asset, and he is compromising high level people in like the public arena, right?
right.
And how is he doing it? He's doing it by like getting them to like have sex with underage people. Meanwhile, it's well known that if you're a pedophile, you can go to Israel and seek asylum there for it. And all this, plus like Trump like basically submits to Bibi, and he like dropped bombs in Iran just because Bibi was like, yeah, you need to do this. They have nuclear war, and he was like, yeah, sure. He was like there in like a jiffy and like came and dropped bombs in Iran.
Yeah.
And everyone, okay, it's so weird that Congress is like so controlled by Israel. They have like I think I might have mentioned this on another episode. They like will have these random votes of like I do not stand for anti-Semitism, and it's just like
Yeah.
a vote. They're not like making a policy or anything. They're literally just like going through the motion of like saying that like I officially am not an anti-Semite and I stand up for my Jewish brothers. It's like they do this like every 6 weeks. That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene or one of the Congress people were saying in an interview, that it's like it's just nuts.
Yeah. That is crazy. I mean it's just connected to power and
Yeah,
powerful people. I don't know. This shit makes
but
me
it
feel
seems like
hopeless.
yeah, it seems like they're sort of like the shadow entity that has the most control right now. And then they're tied to the CIA, which is like sort of the shadow entity of the US. So the CIA controls all kinds of stuff and it's probably like like creating a lot of like um tension via like social media posts and stuff like that. Like the whole fact that we're so polarized right now is like textbook example of intelligence agencies like just fucking around with our algorithms to make us like hate each other in those ways.
Yeah.
So you could argue that like all of this is being um like created and engineered by, I mean, all roads point to Israel.
I mean I guess. I don't know. I think that's a slippery slope, but it is weird.
Okay, this is crazy too, and this is something that like I'm not allowed to say because people will like get really offensive about it. But you know the whole like joke that like Jews control the weather?
Yes, with the lasers.
Yeah, so that's like a joke that honestly they've been saying that for decades. Like that's like an old school joke about Jews. Am I right? Like I don't know if you know this, but like that's one of those
I think
really
just that
old
they
ones.
control everything is like not even the joke, just like the thing, the cliche that people say.
100%. But one of those like the funniest part of all that is that they control the weather because it seemed like so far fetched.
Yeah.
But now there's like I'm following these people who are saying that there's like weather manipulation going on, and there's this guy who came on the news out of like Texas, and he said he's like he works for like a private company that basically seeds storm clouds to create rain, and like that's the mission of his company. Like he just said that publicly. And this was about the time in Texas where they had all those floods this summer. Do you remember that?
Oh my
Like
God. Yeah.
Christian girls that died. And he like came out saying that he's like, yeah, that we have technology that controls massive amounts of rain, and it can be pointed wherever we want it to go. And yeah, there's people who say that like, yeah, people are controlling the weather. Also, there's been like some weird hurricane activity where it's like going straight to Florida, like the trajectory is like perfectly in line with Florida, and the last minute it just like makes a right angle and like misses it.
I mean, that could be harnessed for some good, I feel.
A
But yeah,
hundred percent.
I mean,
But you know
they
it's
do have
not.
crazy tech over there. Yeah, we're fucked. I don't know.
So so basically the Jews control the weather, and it's not a joke anymore. It's just actually what happens.
I mean, I'm sure other people could control the weather if they were so inclined.
But there's something about this like class of Jews that are just controlling everything. I mean, I know this sounds bad, and people are going to say I'm like being hateful towards Jewish people because I mean I don't think that. What I actually think, and what I mean, take that with a grain of salt because like my mind changes all the time. But like what I think is like really plausible here is that there's this elite group of people that claimed to be Jewish, and they're not actually Jewish. So like there's something I heard about the Rothschilds, which you've probably heard of as like one of like the really wealthy families in the world.
Yeah.
They like changed their name, like changed the spelling of their name and adopted a new crest, like I don't know, in like the 1700s, 1800s or something like that. And they basically just like chose Judaism. So I'm kind of wondering if like a lot of these like super wealthy families have just like chosen to become Jewish because of the optics, because there's this whole like anti-Semitism thing. It's like the Jews have been through so much. They've been the victims for thousands of years. You know, even the Egyptians enslaved them, and then Hitler decided to exterminate a bunch of them. And so they have this whole story of like, it's just us. We're the Jews. We're like God's chosen people, and you keep shitting on us. But really, they're like hiding behind that because they have all these nefarious things that they're doing.
I mean, I think yeah, that's true as of recent. Like I don't think anti-Semitism is on the rise. Um, but I don't know if that's a systemic real thing. Yeah, I feel like it's just kind of a coincidence. You know, what can I do with that information other than it just like happening to be a pretty wealthy group?
Like, what can we do with that information?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just about like awareness. You know, I think all these things, I think it's not far fetched to think that there's a group of people who don't have good intentions that are pulling strings of our society. I really don't think that's far fetched. That's like textbook conspiracy theory 101. But like, if you look back at history, I mean, that's literally like everything that's ever happened. And I don't, I think that we should be aware, and I think that we should be aware that there's like different technologies that we're not aware of because they're using it against us. They're not going to like inform us of the technologies that they're using to like harm us.
Yeah.
I have another thought that will kind of like circle all this back to our talk about Thomas Campbell. He taught, so his whole idea about, so he's the guy who was talking about like the simulation theory and how like that is
Hmm.
like we're living in a simulation, right? And if you remember, his whole theory was based on entropy. And so he says that, you know, so you and I, like as an individual within the system, our main goal is to like have less entropy, which basically means to like come back into the simulation and be a part of the simulation and like help. So like you can operate independently as your own character, but you're focused on the community. So it's community minded approach. So you're, instead of like saying, what can I do to gain the most resources for myself and propel myself to win this game, you shift into a mentality that's more community minded. So you're like, how can I help the system? How can I like whatever it is, like build systems, build infrastructure or organizations that actually help the entirety of the system? And so it's a kind of a shift in like the way you're thinking about life, the way you're thinking about the game, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so he says that like entropy entropy is the opposite. So like if you're working towards more entropy, you're basically causing chaos, and you're working for yourself, and basically every time you gain for yourself and you're intentionally like taking things from the rest of the community, you're creating more entropy because you're just creating chaos within the game.
Yeah.
Um, and then so he makes a parallel like that is our current culture, like modern culture is. So he says like more entropy when you follow that road more and more, what you have, so you have like a group of 10 people and you get together and you say, okay, we're 10 people, we can go around and bully all the groups that are smaller than 10 people, we can go around and steal their resources.
Yeah.
So basically if you follow that to completion, basically you have feudalism. So you basically have a king at the top who rules it all. And then you have like a peasant class who like just works for resources of the king, and they're kind of trapped there. They don't really have the freedom to like go out and do their own thing. They're trapped under the power of the king. It's sort of an oppressive thing. And what he says is that like that's what you'd have. So you'd have like kingdoms pop up everywhere where these people are acting via entropy. They're self-serving, and they create these states of power. They're power hungry, so it's not about community minded, it's about power. And that's basically where we're at right now. Like the United States is it's like we say we're a democratic capitalist society, but really we have like classes, and there's like a lot of like class you know
Struggle.
there's struggle. Yeah, thank you. There's struggle between the classes because everyone's kind of aware that like if you're born in object poverty, then it's a lot harder for you to get to that upper class, whereas if you're born in the upper class, it's a lot easier for you to maintain it. um and it's kind of getting worse and worse. Like the degradation of the middle class is like a pretty real thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things you could go into that, but yeah, I mean, all this ties back into this whole like spiritual awakening, which has been like kind of a theme of all these episodes. Is like we should all be in a place right now where we're moving towards less entropy, and we want to be community minded to where we want to help the system, because all the people who are doing the opposite, if you believe the prophecies, they are going to be identified and brought to justice, which is kind of like best case scenario. It's like something we have to hope for, but maybe that gives you some kind of hope instead of the hopelessness that we were talking about.
Yeah. I do think that kind of like rhetoric, like the whole, I feel like the whole like institutional religion kind of thing gives people a reason to not like to forget about actually improving the system, you know? Because it's us that we can improve anything. Like we are the ones that can change things and improve things, but it's like so hard.
Yeah, it's us. It's like that's where the hope lies. Okay, it even goes back to Lord of the Rings. It's like the Hobbit is the one at the end of the day that took the Ring of Power and destroyed it. It was the smallest creature in all of Middle Earth. The Hobbit is a humble hobbit. He, gardens and drinks whiskey, and like he's just like a simple kind of like, you know, good like person, like a good creature. And he's humble, but he was able to yield the power, not get corrupted by the power, and destroy it.
Yep. I mean, that
You
sucks,
know, I was
bro.
wondering,
Huh?
what do you think the ring of power is in today's society?
Money?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, that seems to be what it is. People, I guess money or power, they're like it's whichever comes
Well,
first because they're kind of
money is power.
synonymous. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that's the spiritual status quo of American society, and the government is structured to not change that, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's got to be a revolution.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, things are getting weird, and Trump just voted or just passed a bill to release the Epstein files. So I don't know when that's supposed to come out, but
They're gonna be so
that's
doctored.
interesting.
Nothing is gonna come out.
Yeah, probably.
But whatever. Sad ending. Let's cut it.
All right.
All right. Goodbye, listeners.